Hi, everybody. Welcome back to what seems like interview number 557. It's actually somewhere more along the lines of 17, 18. I'm not exactly sure. But our interview series with basically interesting people in this industry and people that have either created something that's really useful to you or have some ideas that might be helpful to you as you try to get back into the groove of life where we are at today. Still in a COVID world. We're recording this in February of 2021, if you're listening. And so we're still in a just vaccine started world. And so some of what we'll talk about is going to sort of bridge how the last year has been, and then also what we see going forward. I'm joined today by the two executives from Beauty Cast Network, Jim Cox and Penny Burns. And welcome. I would like to take a moment and let you guys introduce yourselves, and then maybe one of you can take it away and give us a brief description of what Beauty Cast Network offers to somebody who might be listening. Jim, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Jim Cox, and I am executive producer with Beauty Cast Network. I will defer to the founder and CEO, Penny Burns, and she could start telling you the genesis of how she established this company, and we'll go from there.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Penny Burns, and I am the founder of Beauty Cast Network. We founded Beauty Cast back in 2013. I come from the school business side of things. So for over 20 years, we had 9 schools in the U.S. We had 5 in Tennessee and 4 in North Carolina. In 2009, we sold those schools to a large school group, and I worked, did a 3-year contract with that large school group. And one of the main thing, well, the main thing I worked on is industry relations and getting employers to hire students right out of school. And I also worked on advanced education initiatives with Nick Arrojo as well. But during that time, I mean, I would be the one that would go meet with a lot of the major chain partners and just big salon groups across the country, speak at their conventions, at their workshops on how to hire students, how to, mentor that group right out of school. And one of the things that I realized is that, there just wasn't a lot of, there wasn't any kind of resources out there to help students learn about all the different opportunities that's available to them. I would also travel around to schools, do pep talks, getting students to look about continuing their education and stuff. So during that time, I had that epiphany that, I wish we could create something that would help students learn about all the different opportunities and the career paths and all the compensation structures that was available out there so that they could choose their best first job in the industry. We had we still have a big problem about with keeping people in the industry, and with a lot of research, we know that one of the main reasons where people are not successful in the industry is the career path that they choose right out of school. So, we went to work in 2013, and we started building out a platform, Beauty Cast Network, which has like tracking software, has a job board, and all different kinds of resources to help graduates connect into the industry. But we wanted to start working with the student right when they got into school. So instead of waiting to after the students graduated, we really wanted to start working with them in school so that by the time that they graduated, they really had all the information and the tools that they needed to go and get into that first stable position in the industry. So that was back in 2013 and 14. We've continued to really grow out our network where, based on a lot of information that we've heard from owners of, the employer side of things, what we've heard from graduates in the industry, we then have went on to create a lot of other tools that really can help, professionals, novice professionals build profitable, sustainable careers in the beauty industry.
Okay, let's go back to Jim here in a minute, but I do want to ask you 2 questions that came up for me while I was listening to it that I think somebody else would ask, and I don't want to forget them. I'm of an age where if I don't say it now, I will forget it. One, is this exclusive to cosmetology? Does it include barbers in any way, shape, or form? And does it do all aspects in terms of hiring of cosmetology, nails, aesthetics? Can you tell me what the scope of it is?
Yeah, we're anything beauty, barber, and wellness. So
Okay.
anything that falls under. So any kind of discipline, any kind of license that you would get into with a beauty, barber, and wellness industry, we work with. So if you're a cosmetologist, barber, esthetician, massage therapist, nail tech, we work with you.
Okay, and then the other question that I think would come up if I were a student hearing this, I would be excited about it, but is the expense of it covered by the employers so that a student can participate for free, or is there a cost to the students?
There's no cost to the student. So we're
Okay.
completely free for the seeker, as we call it, the job seeker. So anybody, while they're in school, for the life cycle of their career, can always use Beauty Cast. The revenue comes from employers who post their jobs, use our services, and also we have programs that schools use for their students. So, from career readiness programs, retailing programs, and things like that, that schools can use to, so it's absolutely free for the student and the professional.
Perfect. Okay, so now that we've answered at least 2 questions and had a little bit of distance from Jim actually telling us who he is, let's switch over to you, Jim, and why don't you give us a little intro to who you are, and if there is a different aspect of what Beauty Cast Network does that you're more engaged with or that you want to share.
Okay, thanks, Leslie. Well, basically my background, I've been involved in private career education, adult vocational education for many, many years. Started in allied health and business colleges, and for the past, say, 25 years, have been involved with the beauty world, with schools. And then for 18 years, I was a CEO of the American Association of Cosmetology Schools, which is the national trade association that represents all of the beauty schools across the country. So I retired from that position, as I said, after 18 years in 2016. And my retirement lasted about 5 minutes when I got a phone call from Penny, who I've known for many years. And she said, no, you're going to help me build my company here. And I said, sure, why not? And I hadn't planned on going and laying on a beach anywhere with my retirement anyway. So that was in 2016. And it's evolved a lot from what Penny was saying, that it was strictly job search from the employers and matching up with job seekers. And then it evolved into an involvement to the large trade shows that the beauty industry has, where we would put the job fairs so that the employers had an opportunity to meet one-on-one with potential job seekers. We also handled the education at these shows. In fact, Leslie, you've taught for us at some of these shows. So we handle the education for the educators and the students. And that came to a crashing halt last February, as we all know. So we had to pivot, and we were working on some projects at the time. We just put them on the front burner because we weren't going to be traveling like no one else was either. So we really worked on developing some of these online programs that Penny mentioned for schools and for students. Plus, we put on a series of webinars each month. We've been putting on free webinars for a year now for the educators, the admissions people, the owners, managers, and the students. So each month in those 4 categories, we put on free webinars. This past September, I found out about an opportunity that I convinced Penny we should get involved with, and that was getting in the publishing business. And it's been an adventure. We took over the ownership of the Stylist Newspaper Group, which was a monthly publication that for many years was hard copy newspapers in 5 different markets around the country. And it's been in continuous operation since the mid 80s. And it was founded and owned by this family. And they were looking to finally change. And so anyway, we took it over. We totally redesigned and rebranded it. It's now called the Stylist News Magazine, and it's a digital business publication magazine for beauty, wellness, and barber professionals. So the emphasis on the publication is a business message. We're not going to be introducing the latest styles and colors and techniques. It's based toward the business community and the owners and individuals, independent contractors. So we have editorial content that helps them grow their business. And again, we took that over. Our first issue is in November. So our February issue is going out today, as a matter of fact. Currently, we have a subscription of over 90,000 subscribers, and we supplement the monthly publication with weekly updates to this group. So that is what I spend a great deal of my time. I get to be the managing editor since I'm the one who discovered this, and but we, it's a team effort, and we have a small team, but we're very proud of the publication, and it continues to evolve. So that kind of brings you up to speed of what I spend a lot of my time on.
So you said you have 90,000 subscribers, is that right?
Right.
And I just want to clarify for everyone who's listening, what's the subscription cost for somebody?
It's absolutely free.
Okay, so
absolutely
I want to make sure of that. I thought I knew that.
Yeah, and anyone who goes to the main website, which is thestylistnews.com, you just simply click on that. We publish this in 6 different regions. We divided the country up into 6 regions. So there's 6 separate issues. The main content's pretty much the same in all of them, of the main editorial content, but we do have regional issues that deal with, state board updates and things that are pertinent just to those particular regions. So it's really simple. When you go to that website, there'll be a map. You can just click on your state and you'll automatically be, all you have to do is enter your email address, and then you'll be on the mailing list and start receiving it.
So I've made some assumptions here, and I've actually looked at it because I actually write an Ask Leslie column in there.
That's right.
But I think I know the answer, but I think it's worth just reiterating this. First, it pulls together what Penny was talking about with what you're talking about, and that there are sort of, so to speak, classifieds for jobs in my area. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And then also in this state board review, I'm constantly, when I'm out speaking to people, I say, you have to stay in contact with your state board. If there's a bill to deregulate, for example, and your state needs you to write a letter, show up, whatever, that content would be in that section, right? So if I live in Kansas, for example, if I go look at Kansas, it would show me what the state board has going on, potentially new rules, but also if there were some bills that were being introduced that would be of interest to me in my career. Is that correct?
That's correct. As a matter of fact, the February issue that is coming out today, there's been a bill dropped or introduced in Indiana. And so the Midwest issue, we put that same article because it's important for other people to know around the country what's going on. But we highlighted that in the Midwest issue because that's obviously a great importance. And the real advantage that we have, Leslie, in terms of, and I don't want this to be lost, is that it's a monthly publication, but we send updates each week. So if something breaks in terms of news, I'll give you another example. The California lawsuit was going to be one of the featured articles in the West Coast issue, and yet that got put to the back burner because the governor opened up the salons just a week or so ago. So we changed that article out, and but we were able to move and pull the lawsuit article because it wasn't as relevant at that point. And we put in another article that talked about the opening. So we're able to move quickly and get the news out. And we work with some of the state board offices, not all of them, but we work with about a half dozen of them right now, and we're expanding. And then we're also totally rebranding and relaunching a classified section. And that speaks to what you said earlier, where we're going to be able to build out, if people have booth space to rent, or they have a salon to sell, or they're hiring someone, or they're selling something, they can break that down into the different regions and have, you know, a regional classified section. So we're just going to be getting that rebranded and launched probably with our March issue.
Excellent. So Penny, I want to get back to you on the job seeking side of it, since that's really the core of how you guys got started. I'm curious with COVID, what are some of the biggest obstacles that we're seeing between, well, obviously some of them are just getting tested. I realize that that's an issue. You know, people have that obstacle of getting to the testing sites when testing sites are closed, but what are some of the biggest obstacles for the students or the recently graduated trying to get employed? Are you seeing more people that are licensees who aren't necessarily fresh out of school, but are now coming back through your system because, you know, their salon has gone out of business or whatever? Tell me what it's been like in COVID that's been different from what you anticipated in terms of the job search.
Well, right now, you know, before we went into COVID, we had about 6 open jobs per graduate. So, you know, then it sort of went quiet there, and now we're really seeing it ramped up. So we've got a lot of people, of course, who that's coming out of school that hadn't been able to get licensed yet because the testing has slowed down a little bit. So they're sort of in limbo. We see a lot of state boards that are some states that are passing like temporary, where they can actually go to work before they actually get tested, so those people can not be held back. So we see some of that happening, but also we see you know, that employers, a lot of the big employers out there, I mean, they're needing people, you know, desperately, even though they might be working at 50% capacity. We did lose a lot of people, you know, during this time that, you know, maybe had to stay at home with their children full time because of, you know, in-home schooling, or, you know, they, you know, or have had health issues themselves, or helping take care of people. So we did see people that had to step away from the industry. We hope that we'll be able to get those people back. So right now, you know, we've had a lot of this, you know, we've seen in the last couple of months, our, you know, the sites, the visits to our sites have really tripled in the last couple of months, people coming in, job seekers, but also employers that are posting jobs too. So, you know, you know, we were already in a little bit of a shortage situation, and now we're going to see it probably stay that way or get a little worse for a little period of time. Now, a lot of schools have had good enrollments during this period of time because people, you know, because when the unemployment is high, you have a lot of people who go to school. They use that opportunity to go to school. So, but we've also seen that students, their graduation dates are being stretched out a little bit because of maybe school closures, or they've had to take leave of absences and things like that. So the graduation dates have been sort of pushed out. So we really look to think that, you know, by the end of 2022, we'll see a pretty good little surge of graduation, you know, graduates coming into the industry. But right now we're just sort of in a strange time. So
perfect. So quick, just a number I'm kind of looking for, and you may not know this. Pre-COVID, if I were a job seeker, what is my average length of time to placement? Like if I come to you to work, you know, to try to get a job, what's like the average time somebody takes to get placed in a job? You said we're in a shortage, so I'm assuming that's not a very long time frame.
No, if you want to go to work, if you're licensed and you want to go to work, you could go to work tomorrow. You know, there's lots of jobs out there. On our site, any given time right now, we probably have over 10,000 open jobs. So on our site, and it can get up to 20. It can, you know, so it stays pretty high. So if you want to go to work, you could get a job pretty quickly.
And I think I asked the question before, but I'm not sure I actually understood whether I got the answer or not, just because I'm confused. If I'm not a student graduating, if I have been, let's say I've been licensed for 10 years and my salon went out of business because of COVID, can I still come into the network and use your job finding services?
Absolutely. You can use BeautyCast for the life, cycle of your career. So, and that's what we see happen a lot of times. I mean, you can use it to find a job forever. But we see a lot of people who sort of go through the stages and they end up one day owning their own salon, and now they're posting jobs on the site. So they're recruiting through the site.
Yeah.
So our goal is to educate you while you're a student about all the different opportunities of BeautyCast, all the different tools that we offer. And then as you go through, the life cycle of your career, you'll be able to use the tools that fit you at the time.
Okay, so I do want to go back. When you said that, it reminded me of something you said earlier I wanted to ask you about. You said that the majority, I can't remember how you worded it, but the majority of people who are unsatisfied, so to speak, with their careers, it's because of the path they took directly out of school. Like they maybe took a path that didn't suit them well. And so I'm assuming that means you guys have tools to help people figure out what the right path is for them. Am I guessing there correctly?
Yes, we have a lot, in our blog. I mean, every week we share a newsletter that we take on a topic every month. And like 1 month we focus on career management. We have a program called Act 2, but even outside of Act 2, our goal is to educate students on all the different compensation structures that's available in the industry. Let's stay away from the brands for a minute. We
Right.
want them to really understand all the different compensation structures, the pros and cons of each, because in every compensation structure, it's a pro and a con. So we want them to really choose a career path that fits their life at the time. Sometimes when we graduate, we try to go for that job that's 5 years from now. And so it don't meet our needs. So our goal is to really help students, really take a look at their life, their needs, them, not their friends, not fellow students, what's going to meet their needs, and to choose a career path, a compensation structure that'll work for them. And then, that's going to help them start building profitable, sustainable careers so that 5 years from now, they can get to that next level and then keep going from there. When we choose that wrong path, for example, we have a lot of students, of course, they want to own their own salon. If you walked into a school today and say, how many of you want to own your own salon, whether that's a barber shop, a salon, a waxing center, a nail shop, almost every hand in the room is going to go up. And of course, that's a great goal, and every one of them can absolutely get there. But it's a path. You've got to go through some stepping stones to get there. So we have a lot of students who will choose to go right out of school and try to, rent that space and all that. Now, some people that works for, because maybe they've got the resources to pay into it, but some of them are not. Maybe they're not only supporting themselves, they have to contribute to supporting their family. They don't have a lot of reserves set up, so there's not, maybe it's them. So that wouldn't be a good choice for them, because you got to pay money into things. You got to make investments, and so if you're not sitting there in a place where you can pay, if you don't have anywhere from $25,000 to $8,000 sitting in a reserve, that's not a good choice for you right out of school. So it's really getting them to understand all of that so that they can make that best decision. That's why we focus on the best first job, not the dream job. I mean, we've all got that dream and we want them to get there, but we first have to focus on that best first job in the industry, which is going to get them, planted in the industry so that they can eventually get to that dream job.
Excellent. Okay, that's perfect description. And then one other question for you, Jim. I'll give you guys both an opportunity to say like whatever you didn't get to say, but one other question I did actually have for you, Jim. So the different versions of the newspaper, of the Stylist News, is that an appropriate thing for a student to be engaged in? Do you think it's I recognize how it could help a licensee, right? And it's geared towards that person, but is that also going to be something that's going to be helpful for that student trying to get out and get started? Oops, hold on. Hold Hold on, I muted Jim by accident and I don't know how to undo him. Oh, there we go. Hold on. It won't let me unmute you, Jim. Hold on. See if you can unmute. Ask me, try to unmute. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
So
Did that work?
Yeah, we're good. So Charlotte will just cut all that out. So
Okay.
go ahead and just start with your answer.
Why don't you start with the question?
I'll do it because the question was a little bit hard. Okay, Charlotte, I apologize right here. Okay. So I have one more question I want to ask Jim, and then I'm going to give you both a little second to tell me if there's anything else we didn't cover. But I want to go back to the Stylist News. I can see the really inherent value for somebody who's an owner or perhaps has their own booth rental space or whatever that is, someone who's been out a while. Is there also a significant value for a student to participate in the Stylist News, to go on and subscribe on top of being part of Beauty Cast Network, or is that something you guys already do? If I'm in Beauty Cast Network, do I automatically get Stylist News? Share with me how those two connect.
Yeah, we send the we send the Stylist News to our student database also. And I mean, let's look at a couple of the examples. Like your column, for example, I think is very valid. I mean, every month people write you and ask you questions on health and safety and infection control. That's invaluable for students as well. Carlos Valenzuela does a column each month called The Thrifty Cosmetologist. He's got personal finance tips. I mean, it's perfect, I think, for students to begin having a sense of budgeting and how he maintains, and it's true that there's lots of people in this industry that make a lot of money, but then they don't have a lot of money, if you know what I mean, because they don't know how to manage it and save it. So that sort of thing. Even some of the business building programs like Neil Dukoff, he does a column each month. They may not be in that space yet where they're involved with hiring and training people, but it gives a good idea. This past month, for example, the theme was social media, and we had several stories on how to utilize social media and some good tips. Ivan Zood had a great tip on how to utilize other people's social media rather than just only your own. So I firmly believe that it gives them a glimpse into what the real world is going to be, the real world of business, and it is valuable. There's nothing in there that's going to offend the students. So I believe it is a valuable tool for them to see each week.
All right. Well, anything you want to throw out there that we haven't said already? And then I'm going to let Penny finish up. Is there anything else you want to say, Jim? Anything you want them to be aware of?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, this has been a crazy year. We all know that. And I believe that one of the things that we've been able to do is adapt and see the schools evolve, and many of them have done it successfully, utilizing the only tools in some cases they had, which is online. And we believe that we're positioned properly to help these schools and students navigate the new reality here. And the industry has suffered a lot, but I really believe people's hair continues to grow and people are still vain, and it's going to be that way forever and ever. So, this industry is going to survive and thrive.
Easy for you to say with your hairstyle, just saying.
That's true. Well, actually, I have, you know, Leslie, we've known each other a long time. I've got long, thick black hair, but I cut it like this because it's really the in look.
It's your style. All right. And so, Penny, I'm going to let you finish up. If there's anything that we didn't cover that you want to make sure that everybody who listens to these hears, go take it away.
Well, thank you, Leslie. Well, I agree with Jim. The Stylist News is, that's one of the things we saw lacking in the industry is getting great information to students and novice professionals. I mean, our mission with BeautyCast and the Stylist News is to, help more people stay in the industry and build great careers. So, the more information that we can share with students, novice professionals, salon owners, booth or suite renters, anybody, no matter where they are in the industry, the more information we can share, the more opportunity that they have to be successful. So, that's our mission, is to share. When I talked about career paths being, one of the top 3 reasons why people leave the industry, the other 2 is self-confidence and stress tolerance. So coping skills and things like that. And those are topics that we take on at BeautyCast. So, like this month, we did a big student webinar. Every month we do the career close-up, which is for students. We have classrooms all around the country that live stream this. And this month we took on the topic of stress tolerance and talked about, good stress, tolerable stress, and bad stress, so that we can really understand that, some stress is good for us. That's what motivates us, because sometimes we just all want to throw it in one bucket. And so it was amazing to see how many schools and students that reached back and said, wow, that was just, unbelievable information, because, it's just not a lot of that stuff being shared out there. Self-confidence, these are things that we hear from employers. Kids they graduate from school and they still are lacking in confidence. And so we want them to know that's okay. Just like us 3, we probably have to work on our confidence every day. There's something, it's just a continuous effort and project. It's not that we're any less or more than anybody else. It's just things that we have to do. And so we want to really make them aware of these things and give them the tools to use, that they'll use through the life cycle of their career. So, that's what we do at BeautyCast. We really try to help them work on their life skills, their emotional skills, connect to great career paths that can keep them on a path and moving to that absolutely sweet spot that they want to get to in the industry. And so we're focused on building out tools that will help everybody involved, from helping owners get the best information that they can regarding recruitment and retention, how the new professionals are feeling out there, what their needs are, what their wants are. So we're constantly trying to educate them on that. So that's, that's why we're a good place for owners who are looking to recruit. And you know what? The good thing about our site is we only deal with beauty, barber, and wellness. So it's not like you're going to go on our site and find a phlebotomist or a plumber. This is what we do. We're beauty, barber, and wellness. So when you place your jobs on our site, that's who's going to see your job posting. So that's who our audience is. So that's, we have salons all the time that tell us, I post my job on another site and I don't, nobody from the industry applied. And that's very time consuming. So that's why we're a big plus. Everything that we're building out for schools is from information that we're hearing from the industry. So that's our motivation. So when we build out a retailing tool or a career readiness tool that works on soft skills and life skills, it's because, we're hearing from the industry that that's what the need is. There was a social media a survey done not too long ago, and it asked, the question was to consumers out there, what is the one thing that you wished your practitioner would get more education on? And the number 1 answer was better customer service, which is more the people skills. So really in this industry, 82% of that success for that graduate is going to come from the people skills, the soft skills. So, that's why we don't focus on the latest trends or haircuts or new techniques, because there's tons of that information out there. Our goal is to help give them tools that we hear from employers and from past graduates or people that have struggled, that they wish that they had, that they feel like this would help them. So that's where we're very committed to helping people be successful, no matter where you are, whether you're a school, whether you're an owner recruiting, or whether you're that stylist looking to build your career in the industry. This is a billion-dollar industry. There's enough room for everybody to be successful, and that's what our mission is to help people do.
Excellent. You know, when you're talking, I kind of hear a little bit of myself in both of you. I feel like we're, maybe it's all of our cumulative ages. I feel like a sort of a parental feeling over these students sometimes, that I want them to be successful, and that what I recognize and what I'm trying to do, you know, I'm trying to educate on a really boring subject. I realize infection control is super boring. They didn't go to school to find out about how to disinfect. They went to find out the latest style or the latest color techniques. But in the same vein, they also they need to know that. They need to know those soft skills. They need to know the business skills. They need to know that success isn't just being good at something. You know, just because you're good at styling someone's hair, that's often not enough for you to be successful in your business. So we're both trying to take content that the schools, quite frankly, just don't always have the time for. You know, there's bills in every state to, you know, shorten their hours, make things more, you know, constricted. And so the schools may or may not have the time to address them to the extent that you would address certain skills, I would address certain skills. So I hope that what students hear, I hope that what employers hear is that groups like yours, groups like mine, you know, we're really putting our arms around these people and saying, there's a little bit more to being successful than just knowing the technique. And we want to help you with that. So that's what I hear from you guys. I'm assuming that if I just go to Google and type in Beauty Cast Network, I'm going to find you, and that all of those opportunities that we've just discussed will be available there. I appreciate both of your time. I'm sure you're sick of Zoom calls. I know I am, but I do think this is helpful information, and hopefully we can redo this a year from now and revisit these topics, and it will be a different playing field. It won't be the one we had before. It certainly won't be the one we have now, but maybe the one in the future will be a better one. So thank you guys.
I just want to say thank you so much for what you do. You've been a big asset to the industry. You've always been an asset, but especially this last year during this trying time that we've been through. I mean, sanitation may not have been the subject everybody wants, but I guarantee you this last year, everybody did start paying attention more. And you've always been able to put a spin on it that really makes people engage. So I just want to take a chance from Beauty Cast Network and the Stylist News to thank you for everything that you're doing in the industry.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Thanks, Leslie.
Thanks.
Thank you, Leslie.